I would say the biggest concern for my kids is safety. Quite a lot of rubbish outside people's houses, and it gets taken by the local kids and thrown around the courtyard. Maybe to try and get everybody involved. There's a lot of people that don't get along with people. If they could just kind of put their, little tiffs aside and just do it like we used to back in the 80s and have street parties and stuff like that.
I've only been here 6 months, having spoken to the residents in there. I think it is just trying to get them to communicate with each other. I think that's one of the biggest problems they have there, is that actually within each of their maisonettes, flats, properties, they're all kind of suffering the same issues, with the build, personally, with their families and things like that. And I just think if we can get them to understand that they're all living the same lives really and communicate better, I think it would make a massive difference over there. There's been a lot of historical problems, tenants inside and arguments and disputes and antisocial behaviour, that actually they've all just shut down. They don't want to speak to each other. They don't want to have anything to do with their neighbour next door. And for me, I think a large part of that is going to be building the community, because they actually talk, because they know who lives next door, they know some of the issues that the neighbours are going through, rather than sitting in silence and hating everyone else outside because of the problems that they've got, which is understandable. That's what we do as human beings. But I just think trying to bring everyone together a little bit more would make a massive difference to the overall community there.
The problems I have in the home is I've had a problem with damp and mould. I've had problems with getting repairs done that are not safe in my house, like a cracked floorboard that runs all the way along my landing, and I was told that it's just not worth replacing it. There's like a wedge of wood propping my banister up. There's also evidence that the staircase is subsiding because they've had to concrete under my stairs a great big crack. You can see how much it is at the bottom because the floorboards don't meet anymore, where once upon a time they did. I've had damp and mould treated in my property in the bathroom and the front bedroom that faces the courtyard. There's water from the outside coming in, only like dribbles, but it amounts up, and there's like this great big brown drip mark going down the wall. I redecorated my bathroom and that's now ruined because there's watermarks all across the ceiling, there's bubbling paintwork, big flakes of paint and wool have actually come away. Outside the home, it's access to the bin shed and the refuse garage. Some of the neighbours that have the keys, we don't particularly like to approach. So, if there was some sort of medium there, or everybody had a copy of the key to the refuse garage and the gate. And the garage door always gets broken, always. The gates are always locked where they should be, open in the daytime so people can get in and out.
How would I change the Tintagel area? For me, from when I first walked in there, it's the decor. It's the whole look of Tintagel. There's a beautiful picture outside with trees and the grass area that's inside, and it really is beautiful. But once you walk inside, you can see the neglect and the lack of love for it, and I think probably it's chicken or the egg. Is that the fault because it's not been kept up, painting work, looked after, cleaned, decorated, or is it the fact that residents have started to abuse it and therefore we've stopped decorating it and cleaning it? But someone has to take that first move, and I think as Curo, that's partly what we need to do. So for me, I would, I think the decoration, the look of it inside, what residents look out on. If I could change one thing, it would be to get rid of the mould. Having gone into some of the houses and listened, seen small children that aren't very well. Actually, when you sit in someone's home and they've got a little one who's been ill for the last 12 months. You know, they haven't known their child not to have a cold and not to be poorly. It's heart-wrenching. It's really difficult to sit there. So for me, the one thing that would make a massive difference to everybody there would be to deal with the mould.
Probably appearance. At the moment, it's kind of beige and white, looking a bit shabby and that kind of thing. So, you know, maybe some colour, put like some sort of play park for up to 12-year-olds, you know, or like a little fenced-in area, and then round the outside they add like racing lines, or, you know, like looking like a little circuit or something. It's easier to see your children in the courtyard, and it'd just be more safe for the children to be in there and be supervised, because you can see them out the kitchen window. Some more bins, because the rubbish is a real big problem. Different kind of flowers put in on a regular basis, and, you know, more maintenance people to actually come in and check that it's actually being upheld and, you know, used properly.
Forgive and forget is probably a little bit too strong, but there's been a lot of historical things there, and people are affected by that, and we need to get over what's happened in the past to try and move forward. You know, Curo are a relatively new business. You know, we've been here 2-3 years, and they're working hard to make their lives better. Whatever's happened before Curo has happened before Curo. We can't comment. We couldn't have affected that. And whatever's happened when the council were there, that's, again, you know, this is what we've got, and this is what we need to work with. You know, I understand people are unhappy, and I'll do my damnedest to make things better there. But to some extent, residents need to kind of accept that happened, and we've got to move forward. What can we do in the future rather than what happened in the past?
Pretty much put right everything that I've just said in this interview. You know, unlock the gate so we can get rid of our rubbish. You know, make leaflets up to say what's acceptable, what's not. Leaflets on what you can do to help your community. You know, and not just the hello from Curo, you know, boring leaflet, something that's going to grab your eye, something that's going to go, oh mum, look at this, I just found this on the floor, and, you know, it's just come through the post box, this looks good. You know, if they could come up with a paint scheme, you know, the Tintagel block, so it looks less like a prison, would be good.
Listen, try and work with the residents rather than against them, you know, and give them a voice. That's what's most important, is listen to what they want. There is a great sense of community, because most of the people who live there have lived in Keynsham all their lives, have lived in Tintagel for a long time, and actually they do care about it, otherwise they wouldn't have issues with it, they wouldn't come to us with complaints about it. So I think that the community's there, we just have to convince them that it's there and build on that.